This morning, we are lucky enough to be joined by Maxxess Systems out of Southern California. And thanks for joining us. Why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about Maxxess?
Another formal introduction. My name is Zeshaan Ahmed, also known by Z. I'm the Western Regional for Business Development here at Maxxess Systems. All right, so let's kind of get started a little bit of background about Maxxess and some more discussion points. We've been around as Maxxess since 2003, actually having roots in security further back into the 80s and different aspects in the security market. Known for our solutions, our security management software solutions, and our ability to create and customize these solutions for our customers for unique scenarios or for standards solutions. Thousands of different customers in multiple different vertical markets all around the world. You name a territory, we definitely have a happy customer in that market. The main product line that I'm going to really be talking about is eFusion and kind of what it does. It's our main product offering, a scalable security management solution for essentially small and large complex opportunities. The system essentially allows you to combine your operational information and your data from legacy systems and standalone physical security systems and provides you a front end where you can monitor and run reports and communicate and interact with these different systems. Really helps for when you have conversions. Usually when you work with a facility that has somewhat of an infrastructure, you don't always want to be rip and replace. Our goal is to utilize as much as the internal infrastructure as possible. Helps keeps the cost low for your projects as well as for the customer itself. The customer has invested into those infrastructures, might as well utilize them. We have over 100 plus different system integrations, ranging from hardware integrations to software integrations to allow you to monitor, assess, and react, prevent even events in real time. And with the integration with Digital Watchdog, that gives us the ability to do that further. And I'll walk you through on why momentarily. So why is Maxxess different from any other access control company? Right off the bat, we have more integrations than any of our competitors. The way we price our integrations too, the way it's licensed is completely different than our competition. And I can promise you'll be pretty surprised on some of the things that we can do with our platform. We have a web-based client as well as a desktop client in MX Plus. I'll kind of walk through that in shortly. We have an open SQL database for custom requests and ability to tailor the system to what the customer is looking for. It's an open architecture. You easily create these integrations, easily to connect to different components, again, without any major code changes. That essentially allows us to be more agile, more flexible than our competitors. If an integrator comes to us with a particular request, we're more likely to say yes, and without a charge too, than some of our competitors out in the market. We have our own internal design team. And that's actually two different design teams. The first design team is for the integrators. So an integrator can come to us with a particular project, as long as there's a scope in place and the ability to talk to us. We would say, hey, Zeshaan, I got this project here that is 200 doors. I'm trying to do this particular integration. The customer is looking for this particular functionality. As long as we can get a good scope on what the goal of the end of the project is, we can design it and give you a bill of materials as well as a quote to if there's any development required, as well as the design team for the development of our software. Everything is done in-house. We don't subcontract out. We don't outsource to India, China. Everything's done here in the US. All right. So the benefits of integrating our platform with the Digital Watchdog Spectrum, and I'll kind of walk you through some of those points. So essentially allows you to manage and use your security management platform from one interface. The Digital Watchdog interface is actually pretty great. What this integration allows you is it's an easier one front end to manage everything. You have the ability to create custom configurations, different views. You can create triggers within our system that allow you to respond to different events based off of your current security procedure. Allows you to streamline the business and your security objectives to meet your customer requirements. Saves seconds essentially when responding to these different events that are happening, because we can pull up different views. We can create these special unique functions that are exclusive to Digital Watchdog and Maxxess and helps you essentially save lives. So we actually can do a lot with the integration. The Digital Watchdog documentation and their teams were really helpful in the design of this integration, which allowed us to create a pretty large suite of functions. We have, just to kind of name a few off the top, we have live view, call cameras based off of geolocation. So if there's a panic button within a particular location, we can pull up a camera view that's closest to that event. We can do video playback, PTZ control, download video, and actually quite a few more. But in the interest of time, I don't want to really go too far into it. But we're more than happy to provide you the documentation as well as the information for what the integration includes. So I'm going to kind of go ahead and jump into the demo and show you the different functions and walk you through the eFusion front end, as well as how that integration really works there.
Great. So while you're doing that, I'll encourage the audience, if you have any questions, to just go ahead and type them into the chat. We will have Q&A as part of this, so please submit your questions. Thanks.
Go ahead and share my screen here. All right. Can you guys see the screen okay?
Yep, we got it.
Okay, great. So this is our eFusion front end. This is our latest version. This is version 7, which was released a couple weeks ago. As you can see, it's like a normal traditional security management solution. You have a lot of data, a lot of information, a lot of things that are aggregated. And I'll kind of walk you through each of these views and panels and kind of what each of them does, and then how that corresponds to the Digital Watchdog integration. I'll go through counterclockwise here. All right, so the very top left, you'll see your alarm log. These are different alarms that you've created in your system. This could be motion. This could be essentially your alarm panels, motion, heat, any kind of alarm environment. It doesn't always have to be from an alarm panel. It could be from a door sensor. It could be from literally anything that you want to be alerted of and notified of when these events come in. So once they come into here, you can choose to acknowledge them. You can add alarms, or you can delete them or run reports to verify what these are. All right, below here, you have your transaction log, which is your normal badge access here. So I have a card reader and our Mercury panel in LP1501. So I'm going to scan a badge here so you guys can see what that looks like. So right there on the bottom left, you see those at the interior door. We had a valid access. Who was it? It was Nancy Eastlots. So same thing with any other denied access. So if I have a quick denied access here, voided card, could be for multiple different reasons, and I'll kind of walk you through that later. So let's go back to one more function. So I'm going to go ahead and scan Nancy's badge one more time. The transaction came in. We had a picture pop up. So we can have corresponding image of the personnel that are having valid access, or we can also do that with denied access as well. In addition to the transaction too, we can have other events come into the transaction log. For example, like lockdown scenarios, panic buttons. You can have different transactions in a variety of different modules. If it's a security system and you want to be able to view and run reports on it, we can log it as a transaction if that's important to you. At the very top here, you have your floor plans. This is customizable and changeable to whatever your customer is really looking for. We have a number of different icons that you can choose from, which are attached to the corresponding security function. So for example, I have my doors here. I can right click and control my doors. I can acknowledge alarms. I can do a lockdown. I can unlock a door completely. I can lock a door. I can move these icons around based off of what my floor plans are. And then also from the very top here, I have a button here to put my entire system into lockdown. I have a button here to change the views on my camera views here. I can go to corresponding external cameras. So if I double click that, I can change my camera views. I can see my fire alarm pull stations. All right. And there's no limit to how many floor plans you can have in the system. It's all flexible and tailorable to you. And each of these window panes, I like to say, can be tailored to your customer's needs. So let's say you have a customer who says, hey, I'm not really interested in my transaction log or my alarm log. I just want to focus on my floor plans. I want to see transactions come through on my floor plans. I want to be able to function everything from there because I have a guard company and I want them to only look at that. That's great. So you can go ahead and take this window pane and make it as big as you want or as small as you want. Again, it's tailorable to what you're looking for in your system. And again, it's without any code changes. It's all flexible to what you're looking for. Below that, you have your system status. This is great because if you have to monitor particular points in your environment, it doesn't necessarily have to be with the security or access control system. If you have a particular IP address that needs to be monitored, for example, like a server, if IT needs to monitor a server environment to make sure that server remains online, and you need to be notified if that server goes offline by any means or any point, at any point. And then what I could do is I can create a trigger in the system for this to be notifying me when that server goes offline. And then in addition to that, I can trigger other systems as well. So for example, if that server goes online, I get an alarm on my desktop, I can flash strobes, I can change camera views, I can unlock doors. It's all tailorable and customizable to what you're looking for. In addition to that, we have an integration with Inovonic sensors. So if you have perimeter fencing and need to be notified when those perimeter fence gets triggered, we can bring that into the system as well. Monitor your area controllers and their statuses to make sure all your boards are online at all points, as well as temperature sensors. So if you're working in a temperature controlled environment where you need to be notified, or you have other systems that need to be triggered based off of that event coming into the system, this is kind of where you would want to do that. All right. On your bottom left hand, it's more for great for managing your system. You have your controllers viewing if you have any controls are offline. You have unlocked doors, again, your alarms, lockdowns, and different pie charts that are reflective of your system and current door statuses. So let's go, and then on the top right here, I have my digital watchdog. And this is kind of where I want to really spend a little bit of time here with our integration, which is called the viewpoint module, which allows you to connect to the digital watchdog interface and pull these camera views in. So as you can see here, we have 2 camera views right now for demo purposes. And this is through an external server that's connected to digital watchdog. This is their environment. This is essentially their office space here. So I'm going to go ahead and trigger an event in the system. So let's say I have a panic button scenario. All right. So I have a receptionist who feels unsafe. And you know what? On her keyboard, we've programmed the keystrokes to trigger a panic button. So I'm going to go and press Control-Alt-P. And what that's going to do is trigger a panic.
Attention, lobby, ER panic, respond with urgency.
So a couple things happened right there. We had the event coming in the transaction log. You see there's a panic button. We had enunciation go off. And you guys can't see now, but we do have strobes that are going off as well as a digital marquee signage saying, hey, there's been a lockdown or a panic button scenario in the lobby. And then at the same time, all my views change too, based on the corresponding event that came in the system. So I'm going to go ahead and show you another quick function here. So I'm going to go ahead and give it denied access. So this person is not supposed to be at this door. He's swiping his badge at a reader he's not supposed to have access to. In a normal security environment, you kind of want to know this. You want to be able to see and verify who it is getting into the store. So I'm going to go ahead and scan a badge here. You could say, okay, so I got AJ Matuchniak here. He's got his picture popped up. And then I have corresponding views associated to that particular reader. At that particular reader, we have a particular details or an event that comes into the system. It says, hey, I want to see the camera view for these XYZ views for this particular reader on these kinds of events. So that's how in-depth we can kind of go with that with our integration now. In addition to that, we have the PTZ control, video playback, snapshot, as well as some other functionality within the system. We can correspond this, and if your customer says, you know what, I only want to be able to see my digital watchdog views or views within my system, I don't want to see the access control system, I can go ahead and expand this out further and change my views to what's important to me. So go ahead and bring all my views here. External views. Here we go. So if I want to monitor all my views, I can bring that out to what's important to me. And that essentially is the Digital Watchdog eFusion demo here. There are other aspects to the Maxxess system, but again, for the purposes of time, I don't have all the time in the world here to kind of go through the entire functionality of our system, as well as Digital Watchdog, but we're happy to send out any information on the integration as well as the application notes for the integration to kind of give you a better understanding on what the integration can do. So I'll kind of pass it back over to Digital Watchdog to kind of take it from there.
Okay, Z, thank you for that. Yeah, we did get a couple of questions, and so I just wanted to confirm one thing I heard. So you're a Mercury-based system, so your panels are Mercury-based?
That's correct, yes.
Okay, great. And then so you're pulling the video that's managed by DW Spectrum into your interface and being able to display it as you showed within your user interface. So that provides that single pane of glass where you're showing the access control, the alarm events, and the video events all in one. How are you pulling those video feeds into the interface?
So I'll pass that over to David, since it's a little more technical question.
So we're pulling them through. We're connecting to the server and through API calls, and we're getting the RTSP stream and displaying it in our viewpoint module.
Okay, so that means, and so for the benefit of the audience, what you are connected to there, you are actually connected to the DW demo system in Cerritos, but your panel was located over in Yorba Linda. So it's kind of that's why you saw a little bit of delay there, just between the two systems across there. I mean, typically you'd have the camera system and the access control system on a single
correct
LAN,
yeah.
Right? So you mentioned viewpoint, and so that's your video module?
Yes, that's our video integrator module, yes.
Okay, and so how many cameras can you integrate with viewpoint?
Virtually there's no limit. There is a limitation on the number of views that you can see in a particular time. David, do you know what that exact view count is?
Yeah, it's 64 cameras in one.
At one point, yeah. I mean, you can go a little further than that, but the views get kind of small.
Sure.
So it may not be ideal to view it, but if you require that, you have to view all cameras on one screen. And if you have a large enough video wall to do so, then yeah, absolutely, you can view as many as you need to.
Yeah, Spectrum has the same 64 camera limitation on a single tab or single pane. You can have multiple tabs open, but it's still 64 cameras per tab, and yeah, they're smaller at that point. So the viewpoint module, is that licensed on a per camera? Is it licensed per system you're connecting to?
It's licensed per camera.
Okay.
So that's essentially all I think that we look for. We do have special pricing for Digital Watchdog integrators who are looking to implement a Maxxess system, as well as Maxxess integrators who are looking to integrate a Digital Watchdog Spectrum.